afternoon and happy Sabbath to everybody. Let's have a prayer before we get started. We're about 10 minutes late. Anyway, let's bow our heads for prayer. Our gracious Father in heaven, we invite your presence again this afternoon as we talk about health. We pray that you will help us remember the principles we're going to learn so that we can incorporate it in our lives and be able to glorify you as our health improves. Thank you for your goodness to us, and thank you for the wonderful Sabbath we've had. And be with us as we talk about important information. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, I remember I said last night that we need to know exactly how much water we need to drink. And I was not clear with regards to that information, so I will repeat what I said, okay? A person needs at least half of your weight in ounces.
It's half. Okay.
Half of your weight in ounces. Okay? So if you are 100 pounds, how many ounces do you have to drink? 50 ounces throughout the day. Of course, that includes the soup, that includes the rest of the things that have water. Okay? So that's the amount we need to drink, because you see, we cannot just say you need 8 or 10, because a 100-pounder needs different amount than a 600-pounder. Right? Okay. So when you have the formula, then you can get the right amount of water on a daily basis. Okay. So we're going to be talking about hypertension. Hypertension is high blood pressure. Now, why do we get high blood pressure? What do you think?
Either it's in hereditary.
Okay, the diet. So what type of diet does it have, do we have to eat in order to get high blood pressure? The principle that we have to remember is there's always two things that go together: saturated fat and high protein. These two always go together: saturated fat and high protein. Now, tell me, where can I get saturated fat and high protein? Animal and animal byproduct. Right?
Yes.
Okay. We don't get that from plants.
No.
Now, a lot of people will say, well, what about the avocado? What about the coconut? Okay. Coconut especially contains saturated fat, but it's the good saturated fat. Okay? Avocados also contain saturated fat, but it's not enough to give you a problem. Okay? All right, so high blood pressure, when your blood pressure is high, the force of the blood flowing through your blood vessel is consistently too high, that it makes your heart work harder, because the heart has to pump that blood throughout your body. So the amount of pressure that is exerted in the blood vessels as the heart pumps it, that's the pressure that is being measured. And there are two pressures. You know what they are?
The
Systolic
and systolic.
and the diastolic. The systolic is the one that is the pressure that is exerted in the arterial walls. In other words, the larger blood vessels. Okay? And the diastolic pressure are the ones that are exerted where? In the smaller blood vessels, such as in the heart and in the brain. Okay? It's when the heart is relaxed, it will pump, right? When it pumps, that's the pressure exerted in the blood, the larger blood vessels. When it's relaxed, that is the pressure exerted in the small blood vessels. Okay? Because it flows and then all of a sudden it slows down, and that's the pressure exerted in the smaller blood vessels. Now, which one is the more dangerous? Is it the systolic or the diastolic? Remember what I said. Diastolic is where? The pressure where? In the small blood vessels. Okay, which one is more dangerous? What's that? Okay, in the small blood vessels where it's found, in the heart and in the brain. When these small blood vessels are blocked off, what happens to them? They break, right? And when they break, when it happens in the brain, that's what you call stroke. When it happens in the heart attack. That's right. So is it important that these tiny blood vessels should be unblocked? Okay. It's very important. It should be unblocked. And by the way, your questions will be entertained after the meeting, okay? So we're going to pass out some cards. If you have questions, write them down, and we will entertain questions after the lecture, okay? All right. As you can see there in the picture, there's a badger walking, right? He's getting his exercise. Now, it's very important for us to do our exercise too. Why is that? Because the fat cells are used up when we exercise. The fat cells are the glycogen that has been stored throughout the body. Okay, those are the fat cells. When we exercise, what happens? We are burning up a lot of carbohydrates because that is the one that's used by the body to what? For energy. Exactly. So it's used up. So when the blood is lesser in those fat cells, what happens? In order for the body to balance, it's going to pull some fat cells out of the blood vessels. Because that's always the work of the body. It always balances out. Okay? So every time we eat some food that will dissolve fat cells, what happens to the fats that are deposited in the arteries? It gets lesser and lesser and lesser because it's being used up by the body. Okay? Increasing physical activity, exercise can help reduce stress, lower blood pressure naturally, and strengthen your cardiovascular system. Aim to get about 30 minutes 5 times per week, especially in the open air. That's the exercise we're talking about. If you are overweight or obese, excuse me, losing weight can help lower your blood pressure. Now, why is that? It's because when these fat cells are used up, okay, what happens to the fat cells that are in the arteries, as I said? It's taken out of the arteries, and the cells, your muscles will use it up. Okay, so losing that extra weight will help in reducing blood pressure. Obesity is a primary risk factor in hypertension. Make sure you drink adequate amount of water. Now, why is it important to drink water, enough water? It's because the body has to be washed. If you are taking a shower on a daily basis, internally you need those cells to take a bath too. Okay? The only way that you can give a bath to your internal cells is to drink enough water. They need to be washed out. Okay? Make sure you drink adequate amount of water. If you smoke or drink alcohol, try to quit. Why? Alcohol can raise blood pressure. Because you see, alcohol can be transformed into carbohydrate. Did you know that? Can be transformed into carbohydrate, and then what happens? It can be transformed into fat cells. Okay, so it's very, very important for the person not to drink alcohol. Not drinking enough water can be as harmful to your heart as smoking. Why? Not drinking enough water can be as harmful to your heart as smoking. Remember, when toxins are floating around in your system, such as the nicotine, okay, what happens to the blood vessels? They vasoconstrict. You know what vasoconstrict means? It is squeezing. Squeezing. And that increases the what? The blood pressure. Okay? And if you are not drinking enough water, what happens to the blood? It becomes thicker. If the blood is thicker, what does the heart have to do? It has to pump harder in order to compensate for what needs to go around, the blood to go around, in order to give oxygen to the cells. Okay? That is the reason why we need to drink enough water. Water decreases blood thickness, lowering the risk of developing heart attack, triggering blood clots. Other beverages seem to increase blood's thickness because water is drawn out of the bloodstream to help digest them. Okay? The most common lifestyle modification is developing a healthy diet. You know, when we get diabetes and hypertension, we go to somebody for help. But the thing is, if we have this knowledge, what did I say last night? Knowledge is what? Power. Knowledge is power. When we have this knowledge, you can help yourself. As I said last night, prevention is the best thing when it comes to disease. Prevention. When you know the cause, you can eliminate the cause. Okay. So with regards to diabetes, what is the cause? What is the cause of diabetes? Carbohydrate, but the simple carbohydrate. Okay? Remember, our body needs complex carbohydrate, not the simple. And to give you an example of a simple carbohydrate is what? White sugar, white rice, white bread, white everything. Okay? All right. Now, what about blood pressure? What is the cause? We talked about it. Huh? Protein? Combination of two, as I said. High protein and saturated fat. And there's only one source of high protein and saturated fat. We talked about it. Animal and animal byproducts. Now, one reason why vegetarians are still getting sick with high blood pressure is because they still eat what? Cheese and drink milk. They don't eat meat. But if they, see, there are two kinds of vegetarian. A vegetarian is what? There are two kinds of vegetarian. Ovo-lacto-vegetarian. That means that they still eat eggs and milk and cheese. But a vegan does not, it's all of that is eliminated. The basic consumption of a vegan is just fruits, vegetables, nuts, grains, and all that. Okay? And my wife and I have been vegan for the last 30 years. And we never missed it. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that we don't make any mistake. You know, when we get invited to a house and they don't know that we are vegans, of course they will prepare something that contains some of that saturated fat. But we don't have to demand. Okay? We don't have to demand. We can be, we can mention it to them on passing information, but to demand to, for people who invited you is not right. The most common lifestyle modification, developing a healthy diet. A heart-healthy diet is vital for helping reduce high blood pressure. It's also important for managing hypertension that is under control and reducing the risk of complications. These complications include heart disease, stroke, and heart attack. Now, I have one suggestion. If you are taking drugs, try to be more responsible to yourself. Okay? Try to be more responsible to yourself. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is try to find out, do some research, and everything right now is in the internet. If you are taking a particular drug, do some research and see what kind of side effects this particular drug have. That way you can know exactly what to do if in case something happens. Okay? These complications include heart disease, stroke, and heart attack. Okay. Dietary recommendations for hypertension. As you can see the picture there, you don't see any flesh food, do you? Yeah. If a person eats this way on a consistent basis, you don't have to see a doctor to get some help. Correct? Yeah. As the saying goes, an apple a day keeps the what? The doctor away. But it's not only an apple. All the vegetarian foods, right? Okay, eat more of top heart healthy foods. Apples are just one of them. especially the green apples. Let me tell you about the benefit of the green apples. The green apples contain a lot more nutrients than the other apples. Okay. Now the red apples, on the other hand, is good for GERD. GERD. Do you know what GERD is? Problem with the stomach. Okay? You can get rid of that problem if you are consistently eating red apples. Beans, good source of folic acid, which may boost heart health, reducing homocysteine. Homocysteine is it comes from the word cysteine, which is one of the amino acids. And homocysteine, when you have homocysteine, it raises up the chance of having allergies. Okay? Having allergies. Berries, loaded with vitamin C, pectin, and catechins, and flavonoids that may also help you reduce fat. Now, as I said last night, berries contain what? Lights from the sun. What do we call them? What do we call these lights that are floating around in the blood vessels that comes from the fruits and vegetables, especially the berries? What do we call them? Photon. What's that? Polyphenols. Yeah, polyphenols. They are energy source of the body. It boosts up your energy. When you start burning the carbohydrates, in the cells, it helps in the energy. It boosts up the energy. Broccoli packed with nutrition, vitamin C, and carotenoids, which protect arteries. Garlic contains flavonoids known to help lower cholesterol with other natural substances that may help to stop blood clots. So if you have a bleeding problem, it's good to eat garlic, right? Is it? It's something that you have to avoid. Why? If you are a bleeder, garlic is something you have to avoid because it doesn't stop blood. It doesn't produce blood clots.
You can eat some, but not too much.
Yeah, you can eat some, but not too much. Okay. Nuts. A great source of monounsaturated oils like almond, Brazil nuts, peanuts, pistachios, and walnuts. Eat in moderation. Did you know that the reason why God created these nuts to have a very, very hard shell is so that you and I will not eat too much of it? Okay? Yeah, we'll not eat too much of it. We will eat them in moderation. Like, for example, if you want to eat some peanuts, about 8 to 10 peanuts is good enough. Okay? Not a day, but at one time. At one time. One sitting. One sitting.
You cannot eat it every day.
Yeah.
Every day. The nuts, any kind of nuts. That's just saying that the protein is.
Okay. Make sure you write your questions down. We were all given a little card. Okay? We were all given little cards so that we can write the questions. Our questions will be entertained after the lecture. Okay? Oatmeal has lots of cholesterol-lowering fiber called beta-glucan. Beta-glucan is a phytochemical. Okay? Flaxseed contains omega-3 fatty acids which may lower heart disease. And there are two kinds of omegas, omega-3 and omega-6. They are the omega-9. Oh, 369, yeah, omega-9. There are three omegas. They are linolenic and linoleic fatty acids. And the body uses linolenic and linoleic fatty acids in order to produce cholesterol. You need cholesterol, not from the meat, but your body produces it. Why do we need cholesterol? Because our body transforms them into hormones. Okay? These cholesterol are transformed into hormones. Now the problem is we eat cholesterol on a daily basis if we are eating flesh foods. And these are cholesterol that are coming from the animals. As I said, cholesterol is not produced by fruits and vegetables. Cholesterol is produced by flesh foods. Okay? Soy. Now, when you do some research on the soy, they have conflicting ideas. Some will say the soy is so dangerous, and some will say, oh, the soy is good. Now, why is that? I'll tell you why. Most of the research today are done on soy that has been genetically modified. Okay? So therefore, their results are bad. So if you eat soy, make sure, especially the tofu. How many of you are eating tofu? Okay, good. Especially if you are eating tofu, make sure that the label contains organic and non-GMO. Of course, you know, some people can lie about it. But you know what? Let me tell you something. When you do not know that a certain product contains something that you don't want, like GMO, for example, you do not know that. If that is the case, that is when God will protect you. Okay? But if you persistently know that something is wrong with that product and you eat it anyway, God is not going to protect you on that case. Okay? Remember that. Remember that. We are responsible for our own health, and we have to make sure that what we put in our body is something that will help generate or regenerate our body so that we can offer our bodies a living sacrifice, not a sick sacrifice. Okay? Grapes, resveratrol is a antioxidant. It's a good phytochemical. A powerful antioxidant found in grapes, red wine, and grapeseed extract may lower your risk of heart disease and cancer. Now, the reason why red wine is mentioned here, it's not for us to consume red wine so that we can get resveratrol, but the reason why it's mentioned there is because it does contain antioxidant called resveratrol. But it's like an animal byproduct. It contains protein, and you need protein, right? But it also contains what? Substances that are not good, cholesterol. Okay? So resveratrol may be contained in red wine, but we don't have to contain it. We don't have to consume that. Why? Because remember, alcohol will what? Will fry your brain cells. You don't want that. It will fry your brain cells. Okay. Other heart-healthy, high-fiber foods. The seeds. Black sesame, chia, flax, hemp, and pumpkin, sunflower. Now we do have some tiny bottles there that have red caps, and they have names in it, what kind of seeds they are. These are the type of seeds that you can sprout. Those of you who were here last night, I mentioned how many times the nutrition can be increased if you sprout the seeds. How many times can we increase the nutrition? From 500 to 1800%. Okay? Now, when they are 4 to 5 days old, the sprouts about this tall. If you allow it to grow a little more, then the nutrition is eaten by the plant itself. Okay? So you don't want it, you want to sprout it, but you want to make sure that you eat them already after 5 days that you're sprouting them. Nuts, almonds, and walnuts. Now there are other nuts also that is not mentioned here, like macadamia nuts. They're good, but it's very, very high in fat. Okay? What about Brazil nuts? That one too. They're good. And if you can eat 4 to 5 of them at a time, only in one sitting, that's fine. You can eat them. Grains, black, brown, and red rice. How many of you are not familiar with these different color of rice? You're all familiar, right? Okay. Now, especially, let me mention here especially the red rice. The red rice contains ingredients that will help lower your cholesterol. It's anti-cholesterol. And the health establishment or the health stores have been producing red rice yeast. But they had a case against the pharmaceutical companies, because what the pharmaceutical companies are doing is they're buying all this red rice, then they shave off the red color of the rice, the coating, and then they produce statin drugs out of that. So if you are health conscious, you might as well buy the red rice and eat it instead of buying the statin drugs, right? And by the way, the statin drugs contain a lot more side effects and that you don't want to experience. All right? Whole grain breads, though good, should be eaten in moderation. The veggies such as avocados, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, cabbages, celery, Jerusalem artichoke, kale, spinach, and tomatoes. These are excellent veggies because they provide you the nutrition that your body needs. And you don't have to look for the nutrition from multivitamins, right? Multivitamins may be natural, but you would rather get your vitamins and minerals from the food you're eating. Okay? It's a lot better. Yes. Now here's here's the reality of all this. The Bible says that the earth is waxing old, right? If the earth is waxing old, that means that the nutrition that is from the topsoil is being consumed, either by erosion, either by acid rain, or chemicalization of the fertilizers, okay? Not following the 7-year cycle, right? You know, in Israel, God told them to make sure that they apply the 7-year cycle. In other words, on the 7th year, they don't plant anything. They allow all the grass to just grow there, and then they kill it on the 8th year. They of course bury all those grasses and they plant after that. Now, why is that important? In order to replace all the nutrition that is in the top soil, so that your plants will grow and be nutritious. It contains all the nutrition. But because we don't follow the 7-year cycle, what happens to our plants, our fruits and vegetables? They are lacking in nutrition. Nutrients, yes. They're lacking in nutrition. So the more you're eating foods that are lacking in nutrition, what's going to happen to you? You're going to be deficient. You're going to be deficient. And that's the reason why you and I were advised by the health council. Who wrote that? E.G. White, right? The health books. That we have to plant our own fruits and vegetables and all that, right? Because you can follow the 7-year cycle. We don't have to keep buying from out there, from the world. Okay, when it comes to legumes, like the chickpeas, kidney beans, lima beans, lentils, navy, what is that, Navy, U.S. Navy? No. Navy beans, pinto. When it comes to the beans, we have to make sure that we are eating a variety of them. If today you ate chickpeas, tomorrow you can eat kidney beans. The next day you can eat lima beans. There should be a variety. Why is that? Because if the chickpeas do not contain the potassium, then it may be contained in the kidney beans. And if the kidney beans do not contain phosphorus, maybe it's in the lima beans. Do you follow what I'm saying? Okay? So because you cannot have everything in one beans. That's why, as I said before, we cannot have good health in one sitting. It is over time. Okay? It's over time. What about fruits? Such as apricots, cantaloupe, cherries, grapefruit, kiwi, peach, plum. God has given us so much, brothers and sisters. And I have heard somebody say, "You're a vegetarian? What do you eat?" Wow, there's a lot of food out there that we can eat. And we don't have to be hungry. We don't have to be hungry. We just need to know how to choose the right kind of food so that we don't have the same disease that the world has. You know, if all of us Christians would only follow the counsels, you know what the world is going to say? "Hey guys, what do you do that makes you healthy and we are not? I would like to follow what you're doing." We can set an example, right? But what is happening? We have the same disease that the world has. So where do they have to go? They don't have to go to us. Because all they have to say is, "Hey, you're sick with cancer. Hey, you're sick with arthritis. You're sick with this and that." And I have the same disease. You can't help me. See, this is what's going to happen. So God gave us these counsels so that we can have a better health and abundant happiness in life. Onions contains polyphenol flavonoids called quercetin that helps lower blood pressure. Okay, quercetin. What is quercetin? These are polyphenols. Okay, oils, coconut unrefined, flaxseed, hemp seed, olive, virgin, and cold pressed. So olive oil has two kinds, virgin and cold pressed. See, these are the good olive oils. And you can get that from almost any kind of store. You don't have to go to the health store or to Whole Foods or Sprouts to get your olive oil. Because the more you get them from a health store, the more expensive they are. And they capitalize on what is called organic. Okay? Just so they can make a lot more money. Yes, it's important to buy the organic ones. Organic ones. Avoid or eat less of excess salt. Salt is the principal mineral in the serum extracellular fluid of the blood. The body needs to help maintain water balance and base balance muscle and nerve contraction. Although salt is very important, we must still avoid excess amounts in our food. Moderation is the key. What did I mention yesterday or last night? I said you need sodium and potassium because as the nerve transmits messages, in the nerves, in the nerve cells, the sodium and the potassium exchange. Okay, so we do need salt, and the advice out there is that if you have high blood pressure, don't eat salty foods. Is that a good advice? You can have salt, but very small amount. Don't have a very, very salty food. Because you want to be able to eat and digest your food. And you want to have a normal nervous system. If you don't eat salt at all for a long period of time, what's going to happen? Well, your nervous system is not going to function correctly. Okay? So you need a little bit of salt, not too much. Packaged foods containing hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils, refined sugars and chemicals, colors, and preservatives. So, how many of you here are reading your labels when you buy? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, we all should read our labels. The food, when they are packaged, we need to read them. And that's one reason why some people are getting sick. They don't know what they're eating. They don't know if it's GMO or if it's maybe chemicals, artificial flavor, artificial, coloring and all that. See, so you have to be a label reader. Avoid GMO, genetically modified organism products. Be a label reader. If possible, buy organic. Processed or concentrated fruit juices, try juicing fresh fruit or vegetables instead. Now, when you are trying to help a very, very ill patient, very, very ill person, one of the things that you have to be conscious about is to conserve his energy. Correct? Okay. So instead of giving them whole potato, for example, or whole broccoli, or whatever vegetable, what do you do with it? You grind it. Or you juice them if they are raw. That way, the person can only drink the juice, get all the nutrition, and conserve that energy. Okay? Red meat and organ meats, are they good for you? I think it's good for the dogs and the cats, right? And if you are keeping a lion in the backyard, it's good for them. All right, refined vegetable oils such as sunflower, corn, and peanut. When it comes to refined, what does it mean? Huh? Especially with the corn. Refined corn. That means they have taken out a lot of the elements. Okay? When we were talking about sugar yesterday, okay, when they isolate a particular element out of cane sugar, for example, they purify it and produce sucrose. What happens to the body? I mean, what will it do to your body? It affects it, correct? And that's how we develop diabetes. Even fructose is good because fructose is contained not only in the cane sugar, but it's also contained in fruits. But if you eat it from the fruit as whole fruit, it's good for you. But once you isolate these different elements, then we develop diabetes. Dairy products such as milk, eggs, butter, cheese, and ice cream. Remember, there are plant-based substitutes for all of these. For example, when it comes to milk, what can you use instead? Soy milk, almond milk, cashew milk, rice milk, coconut milk, yes, coconut milk,
And breast milk.
breast.
That's the best.
Yeah, yeah, that's the best, really. From your mother, right? Anyway, oh, by the way, let me mention that there is a natural egg replacer that you can buy from Whole Foods. And I think Sprouts also carry them. Okay? So it doesn't, I mean, it's liquid. But then when it cooks, it just looks like an egg that has been, prepared correctly. All right. Suggested alternatives to flavoring foods without salt. Carrots. You can use carrots also for coloring. Basil, marjoram, rosemary, sage, and tarragon. These are good flavorings. Can you answer this, please? Corn, cumin, curry, powder, onion. Never mind. That's okay. Parsley. Cumin, curry powder, onion, and parsley. They are excellent flavorings, but they are also improving the taste. Green beans. As a replacement, you can use dill, curry powder, lemon juice, marjoram, oregano, and tarragon.
These are the herbs that you can use with this.
Yeah, they are the herbs that you can use to flavor instead of the salt because it contains sodium. Okay? Peas, onion, garlic, potatoes, marjoram, onion, parsley, sage. Summer squash, curry powder, marjoram, rosemary, and sage. Winter squash, onions. Tomatoes, basil, bay leaf, dill, marjoram, and onion, oregano, parsley, garlic. Flavorings for other foods include caraway, cumin. You know what cumin is? Right? What is it? I'm asking the question, so you answer it. Okay? What is cumin? That's right. It's a root. Sometimes they call it curcumin, right? Cranberries, lemon juice, lemon rind, lime juice, orange peel, and mint, chives. Now, why is lemon rind mentioned there? Because lemon rinds are flavonoids. Okay? They are flavonoids. What about orange peel? The oil in the orange peel is also good for you. It is anti-cancer. Anti-cancer. All right? Hawthorn berries. How many of you have experienced taking hawthorn berries? Okay? It's good for the heart, especially. Okay? Nutritional supplementation for healthy blood pressure can widen blood vessels, especially the coronary arteries. The relaxation of the blood vessels' smooth muscles appears to cause this effect. Some of the flavonoids in hawthorn berry help prevent the narrowing of blood vessels. That's why it's good for the heart. Okay? Cayenne reduces the risk of atherosclerosis, which can lead to hypertension. Is cayenne the one leading to hypertension?
No.
What will it do? Prevents hypertension. Yeah. As a matter of fact, if you have, if somebody has a heart attack, all you need to do is take a pinch of the cayenne, put it under the tongue, and in 5 to 15 seconds, that person is going to revive. Okay? Now, why is that? Because the cayenne, once it gets into your under the tongue, it sends messages to the brain so that the muscles of your blood vessels will relax, especially in the heart. So what happens is the occlusion there will be removed. Then you have circulation in the heart. Okay? And it prevents heart attack. If it happens in the brain, it's the same thing. It prevents further damage of the stroke. Okay? Kudzu, puerarin. I don't know what puerarin. In Tagalog, that's you're excluded. Anyway, that's an herb, okay, contained in kudzu. It's an ingredient contained in kudzu helps decrease the blood pressure. Saffron contains a blood pressure lowering chemical called quercetin. Some researchers speculate that the low rate of heart disease in Spain due to the Spaniards' high consumption of saffron. Make a tea out of it or use it in your cooking. Valerian. How many of you have used valerian? Okay, there's 1, 2, 3. Valerian actually stinks. But you know, the more stinky it is, the better it is for you. Okay? Promotes higher levels of gamma amino butyric acid, or GABA, in the body. GABA helps regulate blood pressure, has sedative effect, beneficial for blood pressure. Potassium may especially be beneficial for hypertensive over the age 65. Excuse me. The elderly often do not fully respond to blood pressure lowering drugs, which makes the use of potassium supplementation an exciting possibility, according to Michael Murray, naturopathic doctor. Now, we had experience with my mother-in-law. When she was still alive, she had hypertension, and she was taking all these drugs, that my doctor brother-in-law gives her. Anyway, she's taken all the drugs that she needs, and her hypertension did not go down. So she calls us up and says, "What can I do?" I said, "Mom, just go out there, take as much clothing off as you can, just use a bathing suit or whatever. You just expose your body in the sun." This was before 10 o'clock in the morning. Stay out there, expose yourself 15 minutes in the front and 15 minutes in the back. And before we could get to her place, it was like 20 minutes later. So it was not even half an hour. But you know what the sun did? It lowered her blood pressure back to normal. Just 20 minutes of exposure. Okay? So there's a lot of things that you can do out there that doesn't cost you a penny. All you have to do is know these things and know how to apply it in yourself, and you should be okay. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars. Magnesium may lower blood pressure. One double-blind study focused on 91 middle-aged and elderly women with mild to moderate high blood pressure. They randomly received either 480 milligrams of magnesium aspartate or a placebo each day for 6 months. At the end of the study, both systolic and diastolic levels dropped significantly in the magnesium group. Okay? Vitamin B6 and B12 helps neutralize homocysteine and thus reduce the risk of heart attack or stroke. Okay, so you know now what can reduce homocysteine, which is the allergy stimulant. Vitamin C, believed to move cholesterol from arteries to the liver, where cholesterol is converted to bile acids and eliminated from the body, helps damaged arterial walls, has modest blood pressure. Blood pressure lowering effect in people with mild hypertension. One way vitamin C may support healthy blood pressure is by promoting the excretion of lead, which is linked to hypertension. You know, they used to have lead in the gasoline, right? Now everything is unleaded. They're finding out the effects of lead, that if we breathe that, or even if we plant outside and you're close to the road, and all the vehicles that use leaded gasoline, this will be pulled by the fruits of your vegetables, and it can affect you. Okay? CoQ10 has been found to be frequently deficient in people with hypertension. Now, your body produces CoQ10, But they have isolated this ingredient and made it available for people to take the supplement. Is a nutrient that naturally occurs in our bodies. There you go. That's what it says. It is necessary for the production of energy in every cell. One study investigated 26 hypertensives who took 50 milligrams of CoQ10 twice a day for 10 weeks. At the end of the study, systolic blood pressure had dropped from an average 165 to 147. And diastolic blood pressure dropped from 98 to 86, according to our Sahelian MD. Garlic helps reduce cholesterol as well as blood pressure. But you have to be careful with garlic, especially if you are a bleeder. I mentioned that last night, right? If you are a bleeder, don't use garlic. Yeah, maybe not too much. Not too much garlic. Helps reduce cholesterol. Okay. Onions recommended for hypertension. In one study, 2 or 3 tablespoons of onions essential oil a day excuse me, lowered blood pressure in 67% of people with moderately high blood pressure. Their systolic levels fell an average of 25 points, and their diastolic readings fell 15 points. Fennel, oregano, basil, and tarragon all contain several blood pressure lowering compounds. With him, by the way, all this information is in your handout. Okay? So you can use them. With him is an arm of flesh, but with us is the Lord our God to help us and to fight our battles. 2 Chronicles 32:8. I believe we are done. Now, if you have questions, please ask them. We have a roving microphone here. Yes, please. Ask the question.
Yeah, when you were saying that our body doesn't need, or we need some salt, but I was wondering, is sea salt better than the iodized processed salt?
That's correct. That's correct. And let me answer that question, because we got this information from a very reliable source. This person practically worked in a company for Morton Salt. Okay? And this is what they said, that the sea salt contained 97%, or 97 different trace elements. The blood is closest to 97 different elements, trace elements. Whether we're talking about the blood of a person or a blood of a cow or whatever animal. Okay? And this is what they said. What they said is they would get the blood from a cow and they will eliminate the red color. Okay? They bleach it. And you know what they do? They add that to the Morton salt. The pig blood. Yeah. The pig blood. Anyway, that's what they do. So the best thing is for you to use the sea salt. Now, if you can find Himalayan pink salt, that's even better. How many of you have used Himalayan pink salt? Very good. Okay. Very good. Those are good salts. Okay? Yes. There's a lot of health benefits. The Himalayan pink salt. Any more questions? Yes.
I have read also that turmeric with warm water and a little juice of lemon, you can drink that early in the morning. Is that good for our body?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Good information. Yes.
Yeah, what I've been doing
morning.
We have a roving microphone here. Yeah, because this is videoed and
Yeah.
people
Okay.
need to know the
yeah.
question.
Okay. This is more of a, information, and you can comment about it. What I've been doing every morning, before you even start eating solid food, is warm water, and then a pinch of lemon and honey. And you take that every morning, and then you start your solid food later on. And
Okay.
I find this a powerful antioxidant.
Yes.
And also, I mean, and I was asking earlier about nuts. Consumption of nuts,
Yes.
a handful every day.
Yes.
All kinds of the nuts is very,
Yes.
healthy also.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I would like to add to the lemon and water drinking in the morning. It also jump starts your liver and your pancreas. So that's very good for anybody, whether you're sick or not. It's a good
That's right.
practice.
And it has a testimony for me because, uh, annually they encourage you to flu shot, flu shot, flu shot. And I have had something about flu shot even when I was working. And I said, so let me do this. Let's experiment this. So I started that one, me and my son. And thank God, my son had some kind of colds, and I just continued doing that, and just like that, gone. It's really very powerful.
Yes. Another question.
Is your saliva early in the morning, is that really good for B12? Is that true?
The saliva, if you swallow the saliva, you see, if we brush our teeth at night after we eat supper, the saliva is good to swallow in the morning. But most of, there are some people who don't brush their teeth, and so what happens is in the morning it's rotten. The taste is not really good. But that is a good question, though. The reason for that is because B12 is produced by the bacteria in the mouth. Okay? And that's when you contain a lot of, that's the highest B12. So when you swallow your saliva, it's good for you. Okay? Yes.
My question,
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
my question is really roughly around for young people, especially.
Can you,
Young
can you
people.
speak louder, please?
Oh, my question is primarily for young people.
Yes.
Many of our young people, I don't say all, but many, they drink alcohol. And I noticed you mentioned that alcohol fries the brain.
That's
Would
correct.
you give me some sense of information that I can share with some young people that I know of, especially in schools, even high school students drink alcohol?
Yes.
And I would like to share with them, how is this frying their brains? Give me some logic so that I can share that with them.
Right. Are you able, do you have access to internet?
Yes.
Okay. If you have access to internet, you can find out about the effects of alcohol. Okay? It not only fries your brain, but it also causes what? Hepatitis. Hardening of the liver. Okay? Cirrhosis of the liver. Hardening of the liver. So to consume alcohol is not really a good idea. Yes.
So some. Oh, sorry. Some doctors recommend that you drink a glass of wine every day. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Yeah. See, so there are some that are people pleasers. They will go along with people because people love to drink alcohol, right? And it's a social, you start with being a social drinker and then you become an alcoholic. So most doctors that are alcoholic will say that it's good for you. But, the Bible really is very clear on alcoholic, the the grape juice that Jesus performed the miracle, in the wedding of what was that now? Cana. That's non-alcoholic. It's non-alcoholic. So yeah, it's the word wine is used by the Bible, and it doesn't make any difference whether wine is alcoholic or non-alcoholic, but they use the word wine. But we know that Christ does not recommend, alcoholic wine. But when the governor says that it is the most delicious wine he's ever drank, we know that that's grape juice. Yes.
Long ago, I read it in a magazine that if you boil it papaya leaves or malunggay leaves, they said that's good for cancer. I don't know if you agree with that. Papaya leaves or malunggay leaves.
Yes, papaya leaves. If you have, what is this disease now? Dengue. If you get sick with dengue, okay, you drink papaya juice, papaya leaves juice. You don't have to boil it. No, you drink it raw. Let me tell you that within 4 to 5 hours, your dengue disappears. Yeah. You know Jasmine? My granddaughter, Jasmine, Wayne's daughter. She got sick with dengue in the Philippines when she was there. And all the mother, Michelle did was juice the leaf of papaya. Let her drink it, and she got over it. Oh, yes. Calamansi, calamansi are the tiny citrus fruits, and also camote tops. The juice of the camote tops, you boil it. That can also help in the dengue. But what you're saying is correct. It can also help in the cancer. Yes, malunggay. Malunggay in English is moringa. Moringa oleifera. Okay, Moringa oleifera. What's that? It has to be raw. Oh, of course, yes. Yes. Yeah, you can make a tea out of that. Mm-hmm. Yes.
You mentioned about the peanut we eat. The boiled peanut, fried peanut, raw peanut. What we can eat, like raw is better, or has to be boil it?
No, it's all of that are good.
Oh.
The only thing that's bad about the peanuts is the skin.
With the skin on it,
The
raw?
skin. The very thin skin. The pink skin or brown,
Yeah.
whatever the color is. When you store that a long time, it develops fungus. It's called aflatoxin. Aflatoxin. And you don't want that in your system.
So it can be get the skins out.
Yes.
Then you can eat it raw, it can be boiled
Yeah, you can boil it.
and steam it.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Peanut is naturally a good food. It's a legume. It's not a nut, really. It's a legume. But the problem is with like you said, the thin skin. Most of the processing is done in big factories, and they have found out that one of the reasons there's so much allergies in peanuts is because of that, the aflatoxin. And many times, also, the way it is cooked is with so much oil. So what you're saying, raw, boiled, or baked, you can bake it. Yeah, that's better. But it's a good food. It's a legume.
Now, I'd like to share to all people. I've been trying every morning. I'm working and go pick up the kids and cook and drop my mom, do a lot of things. I have so much energy. I was wondering why. The reason because in the morning I drink a warm water with the honey, raw honey, real like not just cheap honey. Like my brother has a bees at home, so he give me a honey, and I add cumin. No, not cumin. Not what's it?
Turmeric. Turmeric.
Ginger powder, turmeric, ginger powder, and I mixed it, or maybe cinnamon a little bit in there. It gave me so much energy, and it helped my skin's glow. And I
Yes.
did that consistently a week, 2, 3 weeks. It is good. Suddenly,
Yes.
my mind was so busy, and I let it go, and then finally, my body symptom went down a little bit. It's totally different because I tested, and then I went back to you because every day drink that. Gotta be change something. Don't have to be daily like that. I change to but honey with lemon and a little bit salt in there. Oh, it tastes so good. I just like want to drink second cup. And then I try another way. I drink warm water and honey with apple cider, apple vinegar.
Apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, it cleans my system, and I feel so hungry after 2, 3 hours. So feel lighter, and then make your stomach a bit flatter too.
That's the thing that's
in the
good.
morning, empty stomach, not just eat breakfast and you drink that. It doesn't help because I tested myself in the
Yes.
morning.
That's the thing that's good about the turmeric. Okay, if you have arthritis, for example, pain in the joints, inflammation, any kind of inflammation, whether the inflammation is in the heart, in the muscles, wherever it is, turmeric is really good. It eliminates all that.
That is why we're promoting the use of herbs in cooking. Just like on page 3, if you have your handout, go to page 3. I'd like to suggest something there. The different vegetables that are mentioned here taste good with these herbs. You can use them as fresh, dried, or sometimes there's some liquid, what do you call that? It's like a tincture, but it's also herb. You can use that consistently in your vegetables. In fact, it increases the nutrition when you add these herbs with your vegetables, especially if you're using the fresh herbs. And it really tastes so good because I used to work at a wellness center where sometimes I have to deal with all kinds of allergies of people because I personalize their diets. And what happens is somebody could be allergic to soy. And once I had a patient that was allergic to salt. And she was very thin because she has been avoiding a lot of foods with salt. But she didn't realize that there are salts in some of the herbs. And our food, even the vegetables have salts. And so what I did was, because she was at the verge of committing suicide, she was that way for 10 years. She wasn't enjoying life. You have to enjoy your food. That's how it gets digested better, is when you enjoy your food. If you don't like a food, try find something that can increase the nutrition and the taste. Because when you're not happy with the food and you keep eating it grudgingly, chemical is released in your body that causes you to get sick. So they say when you don't like the food, take a break, drink some water, or find something that can enhance the flavor. That's very important because you release endorphins, the happy hormones, when you are happy with whatever you're doing. Not necessarily because you just want to do it, but because it's good for you to you realize that. So once you have come to understand that when you are eating something that's not palatable to you, it doesn't mean it's not good, but you can find something. There's always something that can be added to the food, like the herbs, and other things that, have been manufactured too, but it's better when you get them in the fresh or dry them. Dry them and then grind it. You can get your own herbs, dry it. But the way to dry it is just hang. Say you have a bunch of onions, hang them with a hanger or tie them something and dry it, and then you crush it, keep them in your containers. But anyway, these are pointers that I know would be helpful to a lot of you who seem not to know what to do or add to your as a flavor to your foods. Yes.
Okay, there's a question. Yep.
Spring is coming really, really soon, and a lot of us suffer from allergies. And what do you recommend as far as something natural for allergies? Because many of us end up buying off the pharmaceutical counters and allergies and Benadryl and you name it. What would you recommend for those of us who are suffering from allergies? I get it from hay fever, grass, flowers, plants.
Yes.
Okay. And I have
Um,
another question after that.
Let me tell you first what is the cause of the allergy. Now, there's an organ in your body called the pancreas. This pancreas has 4 different cells, type of cells. The alpha, the beta, the delta, and the F cells. The alpha cells produce glucagon, and this glucagon is released when your blood sugar is way down. Okay? And it elevates your blood sugar to normal. It doesn't get it higher than normal. It just elevates it to normal. Okay? Now the beta cells are producing insulin. And insulin is released when your blood sugar is way high to bring it down to normal also. Now the delta cells are producing pancreatic enzymes. Okay? Pancreatic enzymes, and they are produced so that you can digest proteins. Okay? And the F cells are, I know it's time already. The F cells are producing what? Hormones that will prevent you from becoming a giant. Okay? From becoming a giant. Now, when you have allergies, that means that you are not digesting your food well enough. And your body is absorbing undigested food. That is when you develop allergy. Okay? And at the same time, your immune system is probably low. Okay, your immune system are not strong enough. So the only thing that I can recommend when it comes to allergies is make sure that your diet is balanced. Make sure that you don't eat a lot of cooked food. Okay? Take it raw so that you can develop the resistance. And once the nutrition is balanced, you can eliminate that naturally, the allergies. Okay?
Thank you. My next question, really quick, is on TV you see all this about omega capsules that's going to help your
Omega-3.
pain. Yes. Can you tell us something in reference to that? Is that true, or can you give us a herb that's much better than that, or what?
Okay, if you look at your handouts, it's right there where you can get omega-3. Oh, there's actually 3, remember? Omega-3, omega-6, and omega-9. Okay. So there are foods that you can eat in order to get all those omega-3s and omega-6. They are the linolenic and linoleic acid, fatty acids. It is true, yeah. Yeah, if there are no more questions, we will go ahead and during the demonstration. Yeah. All right, let's have a break. We can.
I read that one. It's very good.
The what?